Welcome to Three, a show about Federer, Nadal, and Djokovic. I'm Gill, host of Monday Match Analysis, soon to be joined by my co-hosts Joel Drucker and Amy Lundy. We've reached the heart of the off-season, my friends, so we want to discuss a topic that's a lot of fun and very pervasive, but also something that we're not likely to talk about in the middle of the season when tennis is actually happening. The all-consuming best of three versus best of five debate, something that, interestingly enough, the big three all have different things to say about. So the way we'll start is talking about how we feel about it personally, Joel, Amy, and myself, and then we'll get to how Federer and Nadal and Djokovic have responded to questions about this topic, and we'll react to that. I think you'll enjoy it. It's a lot of fun. Don't go too hard on us for our crazy ideas. And without further ado, here it is.
I'm multiple sides. First of all, I definitely think there should be significant numbers of matches played best of five. I think the history of the game, just like the World Series is best of seven, four quarters in basketball. And I'm not just talking about tradition. I'm talking about the arena. I'm talking about what competition is about and really the best player proving himself over the duration of best of five in these major events. And I know they don't play best of five nearly as much as they used to at other events. I mean, once upon a time, they were playing best of five in a great many smaller events in the pre-Open era. And then through the Open era, they've been less and less. So I'm torn in many ways. I like seeing it in high stakes matches late in the tournament. Early in the tournament, first two rounds, occasionally there's one that's pretty thrilling. A lot of them are not so thrilling. So then I've seen the notion of, okay, what if you did best of three for, let's say, the first 3 or 4 rounds. Mm-hmm. And then you went to best of five. And then I've seen that trotted out and people have just you get flamed. I mean, this is where the social media world is just brutal, where people are just kind of annihilating that kind of notion of suggestion. So I'm kind of torn. I think of the entertainment dollar. I think of time spent. I think of tournaments and scheduling. So maybe best of three for that. But now I feel like sort of like a wishy-washy legislator saying, oh, well, best of three, the first few, then best of five. So I'm not sure. I even said something once. I wrote this article a while ago. All right, tell you what, let's make it a 256 draw, but you play best of three for the first 5 rounds, and then you play best of five, but you have more tennis. I don't know. I'm not sure. What do you think, Amy?
Oh, you guys are going to love this because I think my answer is going to surprise you. First of all, I want to say that there are advantages and disadvantages to both best of three and best of five. And I've given this a ton of thought. And only recently, within the last couple of months, have I started to gravitate toward my solution. And my solution involves actually, oh boy, getting rid of some of the doubles, a lot of the doubles actually, making the doubles tournaments smaller and potentially only allowing singles players. Like if you're in the singles draw, then you can be in the doubles draw. I know it's controversial and I kind of need to explain, and no, I don't have a hatred of doubles and I do want these people to make a living and all that. But the problem is that doubles just doesn't have the support right now. So if you do that, then you have more court space and more scheduling flexibility. And I actually think that the women should play best of five in slams, and that the men should continue to play best of five, but only in slams, only in slams. And that is these 4 tournaments is the place where this special arrangement happens.
So let me just clarify. So you're saying at the slams, you do not have men's doubles, which frees court capacity.
No, you do have men's doubles. It's just a much smaller tournament. Smaller draw.
8 teams, 16 teams?
Yeah, something like that.
Okay, you have 16 teams of men's doubles instead of, let's say, 64, 32. And then, therefore, you have court capacity. Mm-hmm. And therefore, you have court capacity. And therefore, the woman can play best of five because they can use those other courts. But does that mean you put Serena in her best of five? So give me a day at Laver Arena. I
also think that I think that the slam should be extended by a couple of days, potentially on both ends to accommodate this. But you know what, guys? The Grand Slams are where it's at. They're making the money. They're generating the buzz. They got the hype. So it's justified to extend these by a couple of days.
So, well, I've talked about that too, where you start the slam instead of on a Monday at 11 a.m. where no one's watching. You start on a Saturday with a grand ceremony. So in Australia, you'd have Laver hit the first ball or something, you know, like at the Masters or in baseball, you'd have some grand Saturday start. So now we have 3 weekends of tennis, 6 days of weekend tennis. And so that I'm with you on that. I don't want a Monday final. So you might even start on a Friday or Saturday, but definitely let's say you start on a Saturday instead of a Monday. So now you start 2 days sooner. Mm-hmm. And then you're saying, so that opening day on Laver Arena is what? The day session is one woman's 3 out of 5 and one men's 3 out of 5.
But look, this is all part of a grander plan that I have, and it may or may not involve actually staggering the men's and women's tournaments so that the women's final has its own potentially weekend or set of days that is not alternated with the men. I'm not sure yet. I haven't figured it all out.
You might be looking at 4 weekends.
But the bottom line is that a big problem, Gill, that a lot of people have with the best of 3 versus best of 5 debate is that the women do not play best of 5.
Yeah.
And I think they should actually.
Okay. So right. No, it's an argument for inequality, but normally that is used. Okay, let's bump the men down to best of 3. And of course you're saying, let's bump the women up to best of 5. I'm wondering though, is there sufficient evidence that, and I asked this question not rhetorically, I don't know the answer. Do the women, you know, would they support playing best of 5 if they had, you know, the sufficient time off? Do they want to? Do we know?
That's a good question. I don't know. If they were
said they would at times, but I don't know. Recall them saying they'd want that for 7 matches. I think they would if they were told to. I think that's a remarkable suggestion you make, Amy, to now have, and then it becomes maybe a 19-day slam. You know, for what it's worth of men and women, there was a time in Australia where the men and women played different dates. They play them at different times of not the year. By the year, I mean a couple of weeks apart. I don't mean like months apart. But
and Joel, wasn't there a time when women did play best of 5 briefly?
No. The woman, what a woman did, no. There was a time when the season-ending championship, one match, one time, they had the final was best of 5. There was about a 10, 15-year period. It was kind of novel, and there were some interesting matches. There was a very good one, 1990. Monica Seles and Gabriela Sabatini had a really good 5-setter. None of the other ones is memorable. I mean, It's perfectly. A couple ended on like injuries. I mean, it was just kind of novel. It was a novel attempt at something, but that's fascinating because it's interesting, Amy, when we talk, sometimes you talk about the sports market and the dollar, but so you and consumer attention spans, but you're opining that, okay, we'd want to see women's and men's matches be best of 5 at the majors.
My whole thing is take what's good and get more of it. Take what people don't want and get rid of it.
So you think people are more likely to want a longer women's match than a men's doubles match that they aren't that interested in, right?
Yes.
Well, for sure. For sure, that's true. The question is, do people want a women's singles best of 5 match more than they want a women's singles best of 3 match?
That's right. That's what I mean by the question. That's what I'm refining it as that they would rather see a best of 5 women's first round match than a men's doubles match, a 2 out of 3 men's doubles match.
I mean, my thing, Gill, I just sort of accept that very few people sit down and watch a match from start to finish these days. You know, you're kind of in and out. You're on your phone, you know, you're making a lunch, you know, you're studying if you're a student, you know, maybe you go out and play for a little bit and then you keep half an eye on it. In terms of content and quality of content, I just think, again, you take what's good and you take more of that.
But then why would you want, based on that viewing model, why would you want a 5-set women's match?
What do you mean?
You're saying that a women's match, every women's match should be longer. Every women's match should be
No, I'm talking about the Grand Slams only.
Oh, not the slams. I'm just talking about the slams.
And also
Okay,
keep in mind, guys, that there's a lot of there are a lot of best of 5 matches that end in straight sets.
Agreed. But you're saying that every women's match at a slam will be at least 3 sets long.
Yep.
And possibly 5 sets long.
Yep.
But at the same time that we're talking about consumers wanting to have less bandwidth to watch a match, we're going to offer them a supersized match format.
But we're getting rid of, gosh, please doubles, people don't hate me. We're getting rid of some of the clutter.
Yeah, but nobody's watching doubles. Most people aren't watching doubles anyway. It's now
it's on TV.
Is it though?
Early round doubles matches, they're on streaming, but they're not being covered early round doubles matches much.
No, but the late round are, yeah.
Late rounds, but we want late rounds to exist. We want to see we want slam semis. Yeah, I'm fascinated. See, I don't think the argument, the equal prize money argument, those who think it's for duration of work are missing the boat on the entire entertainment thing.
No, this doesn't really have anything to do with prize money. This is about the content itself.
Okay.
Well, but in general, I think the important point here is that it's okay if someone can't watch a whole tennis match.
Yes.
We don't need to try to fix that. That's not a problem.
Or a baseball game or an NFL game. Just accept that nobody's got the time to sit there for 3 hours, whatever, and commit to that. We're in and out.
Sure.
I have a suggestion for us for a future show that we each bring our respective note card, kind of like a game show that has our slam format. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We each bring a thing and let's just put our time into it. I mean, Amy's kind of really thrown it down with women best of 5. I wasn't expecting that one.
No.
I was, and so I have my kind of, mealy mouthed early rounds this, later rounds that, and well, okay. Well, with Gill, so
I have something else.
Okay.
I wasn't even planning on sharing this, but
let's hear it. Ooh.
I think one solution to the best of basically we love our great best of 5 matches, and then sometimes we think, oh, this is so long that it kills the tension, the feeling that every point is important, every point matters. So the solution to that would be you cannot go down 2 sets to love. It's a mercy rule, basically. If you win the second set, basically if one player wins the second set and the first set, they won the match. But if you split the first 2 sets, now it's a best of 3 match.
Oh, I have not heard that.
Not the entire slam? Oh, wait. In other words, if you split the first 2 sets, we must win.
Now it's best of 5.
In 4 sets. We extend. Oh, I see. Oh, wow. Wow, look at it.
Right. You have to win by 2. All of tennis, you have to win by 2.
I saw a tweet on that earlier today.
Yeah. Whose tweet was that?
What you're saying, Gill, is if we split the first 2 sets, we're going the distance, baby.
Yep.
Or 4, but
or 4. But in other words, if we split the first 2, I must win 3.
Mm-hmm.
Now that's wow. And well done, Gill. That's fascinating. Well, and that would be true in every round. Well,
Gill, can we do it for the men and the women?
Sure.
Great. I'm sold.
As long as the women want to do it.
Gill, do you apply this for every round?
Think so. Now, and if anything, you take it away in the late rounds to allow someone to come back from 2 sets to love. But
starting the quarters or the semis?
I haven't really thought about it, but we can say the quarters.
Okay, so the first few rounds.
No, I think, Gill, you make it the same throughout. This is complicated enough as it is. I mean, I think I like your idea. Just make it consistent.
No way. Well, I don't want to see someone win a final 6-2, 6-4. I don't want to see someone win a Grand Slam, a man or a woman in the Amy format win a Grand Slam.
Okay. So, all right. Maybe in the quarters, it does just become traditional best of 5.
Well, so we have some homework to do. And I think we can anticipate each of us getting royally flamed by our audience for various forms. No one is going to like either of us. And we're all going to have, so let's just all buy PO boxes for our home address so we can all be safe. And that's great. Wow.
Now, I just want to say something. At the start of Australia, pre-pandemic, start of 2020, remember when they had the fires down in Australia?
Mm-hmm.
I did write an opinion piece saying, and that they were worried about qualifying, and the guys were breathing, the ladies were breathing in this stuff. And I did write an opinion piece saying, if we were ever going to try best of 3 in a slam, maybe this is the year to do it. And a lot of people really liked that opinion piece. But I just want to say that was just, situation based, so don't call me a hypocrite, people on social media.
Well, it's been done. It's been done before. There have been slams. The US Open in from 75 to 78, they played several of the early rounds. The 3 rounds, even 4 rounds, were 2 out of 3. They did that. The French
Okay.
I believe it was done sometime in Australia. So it's not without precedent. What is without precedent is women playing the best of 5 ever at a major. So I'm pretty sure that's true, unless we're going to look back in some 19th century stuff. So that's fascinating. Gill, what are our 3 amigos, our three guys? What do they say?
All right, so here's what Nadal said. I'm going to just use the direct quote exactly how he said it. He basically says, winning a Grand Slam playing best of 3 demand to the players something else, no? Stronger mentally, stronger physically, be solid for such a long time and for such a long 2 weeks. I really believe that's the right thing to do. So what he's saying is, if we made it best of 3, it would be a completely different challenge. And what he loves about the best of 5 is it's that ultimate challenge, above and beyond what best of 3 could ever be.
Okay. So let's hear what our other guys say.
Mm-hmm.
Novak says, I'm more of a proponent of best of 3 sets everywhere. You asked me why. I just feel that we have enough tournaments, enough matches during the year. We have the longest season in all of sports, any sport in the world. Tennis has the longest season from January 1st to the end of November. Literally every single week you have a tournament somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Then he also made mention of the average age of the tennis viewer, which he cited as 61, which is kind of a misused out of context data point, but it's been thrown around a ton, so it's not really Novak's fault. So Djokovic is kind of going back to the oversaturation argument.
Mm-hmm.
And then Roger Federer, he says, and this is so Federer, and this is all I could find. I tried to find what he said, and this is all I could find. He says, it won't happen, but it's a fun debate to have. Neutral, down the middle.
Flag of Switzerland.
Yeah. Not really saying anything. There's Federer.
Well, and yet aware of the reality. I agree more with Federer. I mean, I think they might be looking at some maybe experimentation and some thoughts of things, but I kind of don't see it particularly in this, in other times when they did it, it's when people were also still playing lots of doubles and the tournament agenda was different and the fitness was different. I mean, some of these, once upon a time when I was young, you weren't supposed to drink water. I mean, there's a whole different approach to fitness. And now people are fit in so many different ways. And I think the singles, I don't know, I think Nadal is more kind of the warrior combatant mode. But I'd be curious to see how the dialogue continues.
I like Novak's answer, even though I don't, agree that things should be best of 3, but he's thinking more big picture and how it connects to other things. And one area where I really agree with him is the calendar reform. And it's like, gosh, enough already. We need a break. We need that sleep period. We don't need a tournament somewhere in the world every single week. And if we could get the calendar reform, then maybe Novak would be okay with keeping best of 5 at the slams.
I want to address something about calendar reform. I've given calendar reform thought for a long, long time. And yet from the top player's vantage point, yes, the season's too long. From a lower ranked player's vantage point, the season's not long enough and they need those points. And then I think of communities. It cracks me up. A lot of Americans I know, sure, they think the tennis season should end about September 15th. The US Open happens, and they're not really, they could give a rip about these tournaments in Asia or these tournaments in Europe, but the the fans and children and adults and promoters and sponsors who might get value out of having such tournaments. I don't know what the tennis world doesn't operate like the NBA or the NFL. It doesn't regulate its universe. So this is kind of the dilemma. So the players want to look at that and how that happens. And if you create maybe tiers of tournaments, maybe that's what it is. Because in a way, an ex-pro told me once that the fall is kind of a point safari. The fall is the time where you try to get some ranking points, and that has more implications for lower players. So maybe it becomes that maybe there's a certain kind of triaging of the tour. There's also going to come, as we know, in the next few years due to the pandemic, an economic awareness. I mean, some of these events that could take a hit in 2020, what's going to happen in 2021 and 2022? Or if are these events canceled? Can they happen?
Yeah.
Are fans allowed to come? What is my sponsor value package of participation in tournaments where spectators can't come? I may or may not be able to do entertaining of my customers, and how does that work? But I think
that was my number one concern, Joel. I mean, is the health of the tournaments and the sport. And, you know, frankly, some of the tournaments in China, the level of attendance is, 20% capacity at best. I mean, I'm all for, community and stuff like that, but if it's not supporting itself financially, then I don't think it should exist. And I think that we as sport should gravitate toward that which is a draw and that which is really special and good, and put more resources into that.
But there's some tournaments in North America that we don't know if they all are in the profit zone. We don't know if they profit. So, but your point about attendance. So there's a lot of things to look at with these tournaments and what they deem as their value too. I mean, I feel, I bet there's a lot of interesting talk with the WTA now. They had a major stake in Asia, and look how much has had to go by the wayside this fall. That's been really sad, unfortunate. So we've got there's going to be some very interesting calendar discussions and sponsorship in the years to come.
But if we can bring it back to best of 3 versus best of 5, I think that you can look at real data that's readily available about how many people are going to 250s and if they're making money. And that's really easy to look at. What is not easy to look at, and what hasn't been looked at sufficiently, is if shortening the format of men's tennis and Grand Slams is going to drive interest and make it more consumable and bring more people to the sport. I think that what Novak is saying is not rooted in any kind of quantitative fact or, anything that's really been supported by anything. And I also have kind of an if it ain't broke, don't fix it mentality with the slams. Amy, as you've said, they are what works. It is what is bringing in the money and what is gaining attention outside of the small tennis bubble. So if you're going to change that, bring me something, bring me evidence, show me why this change is going to bring it to new heights. This whole young attention spans and the aging tennis viewer, these things are not being supported.
I agree with you. I mean, as we mentioned earlier, I've come complete full circle. Like, maybe the attention spans, and it's not just the young people, but it's, competing with devices and things like that. Maybe that our attention spans have changed so much that we don't take in a match the way that we used to, and we should go ahead and embrace the fact that we're all going to be in and out of a match anyway, so why not lengthen it? That just gives you more opportunity to be in and out of a match. Now, I don't have any data to back that up, but I'm 100% with you that the slams are where it's at. That's where the ratings are, the hype, the buzz, the money, the everything. So why would you shorten it?
It's unbelievable, the divide, though. Andy Murray says he wouldn't watch a best of 5 match as a fan. So as a fan, he likes best of 3. As a player, he likes best of 5.
Well, there you have it. There you have it. That's quintessential tennis player thinking. It's like Murray's very proud of the fact, and this is a guy who's, I think, 6 or 8 times come back from 2 sets to love down. So he'd say, here, how about that? So it's quick. That's why I think it's sometimes, while it's useful to hear what they think, it'd be more interesting. I'd love to hear from 500 fans. I'd love us to walk around with our calculator and interview fans at the slams.
What's the sample size? The people who watch our show, I'm telling you, it's gonna be best of 5.
Right, but but like, for example, when you go to Indian Wells, I think the fans love watching series upon series of best of 3 matches, but that's during Indian Wells, and that's a different atmosphere, and that's a time of year. And being able to wander into a 2 out of 3 set match, whether it's a semi or even a final, is kind of fun. And the attention span, the attention span is also, I mean, there's a little bit. I mean, I'm going to come back to this notion of, Amy, how you want 3 out of 5 for the Wednesday. Well, we don't have the attention span for long movies as much anymore. So instead of shortening, let's have all the movies be 4 hours long.
Question to Andy Murray, my follow-up question to Andy Murray would be, yes, but Andy, would you watch the beginning of the match, see where the first set goes, then go play with your kids for a while, go for a bike ride, and then catch maybe some of the 4th set and see how that does, and then just sit there and lock into the 5th set? Would you do that? And I think that's how a lot of us do it now. So let's embrace it.
Well, that's a good point. There's a lot of interesting things going on about how sports is consumed. It's like a Netflix show, but you don't watch every episode.
Look, the most popular sport in the United States is football by far. It's long. It's so long. Now it's only once a week. So that's a part of it, but still college football is 4 hours. It's excruciatingly long. It is the biggest thing going in most of the country. So this is not, when we're in 2050, is our people's attention spans going to be so messed up by technology that they're going to hate football? Is that what's going to happen? No, I don't like the attention span argument. It's not, It does not register with me at all.
Well, football got calendar reform in a way, because football we'll have 1 game a week.
It was always, but it had to be. It's so physical that it just had to be. And they got lucky.
Well, it always has. It always has. There were never 162 football games. So, so you're right. So football got the whole thing of the scarcity index and the viewer deal and the fact that people, I mean, I actually like to watch the Super Bowl alone, but I've watched my share of football games in rooms with people. And you're right. And football is kind of, here, there. And it was an interesting play. They're going to show it to you again anyway. So you're just kind of in and out of the game in a way. So it's interesting about how sports is consumed, covered, played. I mean, Murray's answer. I love your follow-up questions to Murray, Amy. How would you go about doing that, Andy? How would you like us to watch your Wimbledon final?
I mean, I'm just, this is how we live our lives now. And I think that as professional sports, we've got to get real and not ideal. We've got to get real.
Okay, one more thing. Let's end on this because I feel like we didn't address what Nadal said. Let's say majors went to best of 3 for the men. Would hoisting the trophy on Sunday mean less? That's what Rafa's saying.
Would there be an asterisk by the people's names that then went on, like Novak? That was pointed out. Like if Novak then goes on to win a portion of his Grand Slam haul, best of 3, is there an asterisk there?
Is it less? Yeah, is it less meaningful?
Not to him, to play it. And this we have to look. We look at it from both sides. To the players, they think, oh no, I still want it. To me, as a historian of the game, I will cast a certain kind of eye on that, just like I cast eyes on double slams with fewer great singles players in them. I kind of noticed that. It still means he won it. Yes, it means he won it. Just like we had to talk about the pandemic era US Open. That's a big win. That's a slam title. So if it's decreed by tennis that we shall play 2 out of 3 and that's the final, that's a Wimbledon title. I'm not gonna, but there's gonna be, I mean, hey, there are old pros who didn't like the tiebreaker. Hey, once we used to not play tiebreakers, and then these guys are winning sets with tiebreakers. What's all that about? And then it became accepted. So I think initially there'll be some, acculturation, but I think if it let's pretend that started in 2025 and guy wins Wimbledon in 2035, 6-4, 6-4. It's okay. Hey, baseball designated hitters, these things change. It doesn't necessarily make me, and then let's pretend the woman went to Amy's approach with now they're playing best of 5 and the 2035 Wimbledon woman wins in 4 sets. that doesn't diminish the significance of the other woman who won it before that.
Yeah,
Sure.
and other sports leagues have changed their, the way they do it. Major League Baseball, at one point they were best of 7 all the way through, and then, it shortened in the early rounds, and same with the NBA. And we don't sit there and go, oh, well, the Lakers didn't win an NBA championship. So yeah, no. But it would be unfortunate. It's not really what I'm for. So I'm hoping that they'll figure this out.
Yeah. Well, look, it doesn't look like it's changing. The USTA was asked to provide an official statement recently, and they said, like, I mean, I don't know what you'd expect them to say, but they were like, yeah, there are no plans to change the best of 5 format.
Nor does Wimbledon. So I think in a
Yes.
way, what this falls into, there's a great word Pete Sampras gave me for certain things. He said, yeah, there's tennis, and you talk about tennis, and there's commentary. And we live in a world where there can be a lot of, there's commentary, and a lot of people like to chime in on these things, and occasionally things happen, and social media gives a lot of people, including ourselves, platforms, and that's okay. It's like one big talk radio show.
That's why we're talking about it now, because there's no tennis. There might as well be commentary. That'll do it for this episode of 3. As always, we hope that you subscribe to the channel, give the video a like. Feel free to leave a comment. I'm sure there will be plenty of them this week. We're also available on all podcast platforms, iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcasts. Leave a rating and review on Apple Podcasts. That is a huge help. And we will see you next time on the next episode of 3.